Okay, fine. So let's divide the whole thing into three portions. The first portion will be why to use this. The second portion will be how to use this. And the third portion will be when to use that. Fine. So let's start with why. Why we need this data structure. So first, before starting with why, let's first understand that what is a stack, right? So starting with the very initial, this data structure will often use to reverse any data set. But it's not only the role of this stack. Fine. So what is a stack? Let's say I have a memory, I have a container, and I'm just inserting some of the data in this container. Let's say I have 5, 6, 7, and 8. Fine. So I'll be having the storage, I'll be having some manipulation techniques, but this time this guy will follow a sequence, the sequence of insertion and the sequence of the removal. Fine. So this is also a linear data structure. That means the data storage and the data retrieval will be followed a linear fashion. That means there would be sequencing, there would be a pattern, and that pattern will be linear. Fine. One after another. Either I'm inserting something or I'm just retrieving something. Fine. So the insertion and removal techniques in a stack will follow the same pattern as array does. Fine. But what's the difference? The difference is stacks works on LIFO principle. Fine. And what's LIFO? Anyone who can help me in that? Anyone?
Last in, first out.
Last in, first out. Can you just explain me this? That's the
Yeah,
purpose of the LIFO, right?
the data which will be inserted at first will be removed last,
The
or
data.
the inserted at last will be removed first.
Okay, okay, fine, okay, fine. So that means it can be last in, first out, as well as first in, last out. Philo. Is it? Is it? Okay, fine. So let's say the sequence of insertion of 5, 6, 7, 8 was I've inserted 5 first, then I've inserted 6, then I've inserted 7, then I've inserted 8. Fine. So the first value which was inserted is 5, then 6, then 7 and 8. The moment when I'll retrieve, the moment when I'll take out the elements, or the moment when I'll remove the element, the first element which would be removed, that will be the element which would be on the top of my stack. So why I'm focusing on this word top? The reason is top signifies the element which is at that level, which level will be considered as the level from which the data will be retrieved. I'm repeating once again, top is a place, top is a position which will signifies this thing that this data is about to remove. So first 8 will gonna remove, then after the removal 7 will be on top, then 6 will be on top, then 5 would be on top, and there would be a stage that my stack will become empty. Fine. So the insertion and the deletion, both of the things will gonna take place at the end of my stack. That means either I have to insert an element or I have to delete an element. These two processes will be done at the back of my stack. So if I'll be making a stack, so it will look like this. This is the back of my stack. So I've inserted 5. My stack would become like this. 5. Then I have 6. Then 6 will be inserted at the back. Then 7. Then 8. That's it. And 8 is my last element. 8 is an element which is at the top of my stack. So first 8 would be removed. Then 7 would be removed. Then 6 would be removed. Then 5 would be removed. And when will I get to know this thing that I'm done with all the elements of my stacks? The moment when my stack tends to empty. That's it. Fine. So why to use this now? So there are some patterns like, so DSA is all about patterns. The pattern which covers mathematical concepts that are under number theory, a pattern which covers searching with some optimal approach is binary search. Then we were having two things in that: modified binary search and violation in binary search. That's it. Then there would be some other pattern where we would be finding a cycle in a linked list, a cycle in a data structure. So that can be Floyd cycle detection. Now we have a pattern. That pattern concludes some of the keywords, right? So the first keyword can be reverse, valid, balancing, and reverse, valid, balancing, dealing with something which is the recent one for me, or dealing with something which is adjacent to me, or some of the questions like next greater element, as well as next smaller element. So these are some of the patterns. I think these were the patterns which are being covered. So from today onwards, if you would be seeing these keywords or these words in any question, you'll have to think about a stack before writing your logic, before implementing your things. Fine. From today onwards, if we would be allowed to take any extra space to reverse something, to reverse an array, to reverse a string, to reverse a linked list, to reverse any data structure. If we are allowed to take any extra space, we will always be using stack for that. Then a word something like this, validate this string, validate this data structure, find that they are balanced or not. The balance has been made or not. So this valid, this balance, these two words will signify towards a condition, and that condition will be I'll have to use the stacks here. I would be helping you, I would be telling you how, but for now, just keep this thing in your mind. If you'll be seeing all these words in the given question, you will always be thinking about, sir, can I use stacks here? Then let's say what you have to do, you have to find a number. Let's say, not number, let's say I have a character. I have a character for which I have to find the recent manipulation techniques. Let's say I have A, B, B, A, C, A. Fine. And what I have to do, I have to delete the adjacent duplicates, or the values which are adjacent to each other, or the values which are just the previous values for me. Let's say I have to delete this A. Somehow the things are related with this B also. So when you have to manipulate the current situation with the previous or the just previous situation. So if the question will be like this, man, you have to delete the adjacent things. You'll have to delete the previous thing. You'll have to add the previous thing. So this adjacent, recent, validating, balancing, these things will gonna be the part of stacks. Fine. And some of the famous problems are next greater element and next smaller element. So these two versions will always be done by stacks, because the next means the positioning thing. Next means the adjacent things. So if we would be saying the keywords like these, so we're gonna use stacks in that question. Guys, give me a thumbs up if I'm being clear on this. The keywords and what is a stack and why we use that. Okay, fine. Now, the reason of choosing stacks. So let's start with reversing something. Let's reverse a string. So what I have to do, I have a string named, I know. Sorry for the disturbance. So let's say I have a string named Nitin, right? And what I have to do, I have to check that the given string is a palindrome or not. So I'm hoping this thing that everyone knows what is a palindrome, right? So if there's a string and if it is a palindrome, so if I'll be reading it from left to right and if I'll be reading it from right to left, both of the thing will be same for me, right? So what I'm doing, I'm just inserting all the characters of this string into a stack, right? So this is a stack, and first I've inserted n, then I, then t, then I, then n. Fine. So the sequence can be n will be retrieved first, then I, then t, then I, then n. So now what I'll be doing, I'll start comparing from this n with the n which is at the top of my stack. So if they both are same till the end of my iteration, I'm gonna say, sir, this string is a palindrome, and if it is not, I'm gonna return false. So what I'm doing, I'm just reversing my string, but in short, I'm not reversing my whole string. I'm not using any dot equals method, or I'm not comparing two strings at a time. So what I'm doing, I'm taking a string, I'm iterating from the front, and I'm adding all the elements of my string into a stack. And I'm just comparing the given character with the character which is at the top. If they both are same, I'll keep I'll keep moving forward. And if they are not, I'll just simply return false. That's it. Give me a thumbs up if I'm clear on this. Like how I'm comparing the current character with the character which is at the last. Fine. Now I have same goes with reversing an array. So an array is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Fine. And I've added it in a stack. So it will be 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So if I'll be retrieving them, it would become 9, 8, 7, 6, and 5. So it can be implemented to reverse a data structure. Fine, to reverse any data set. Fine. Then the third part is Let's start with something which includes validating and balancing. Fine. Let's start with the concept, with this concept, and one of the question will gonna help us in that. So the question is valid parenthesis. Okay, fine. Okay. So take 2 to 3 minutes and read this question. One of you will gonna explain me this question. Then I'll be starting with the approach and the pattern which this question follows. Fine. So take 2 minutes and read this question. So Preeti, can you explain me this question? Preeti, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Can you just explain me this question, like what we have to do exactly?
Uh, से एक्सट्रीम दिया हुआ है जहाँ
Mm-hmm.
जिसमें कैरेक्टर्स हैं और कैरेक्टर लाइक गिवन है ओपन ब्रैकेट कर्ली ब्रेसेस और बिग
Mm-hmm.
ब्रेसेस है और उसमें कंडीशंस दिया हुआ है लाइक
Mm-hmm.
कौन सा स्ट्रिंग वैलिड है या नहीं तो वहाँ कंडीशन दिया हुआ है कि अगर ओपन ब्रैकेट है तो उसकी कॉरेस्पॉन्डिंग ब्रैकेट जो है वो सेम टाइप के होने चाहिए और यदि ओपन ब्रैकेट है तो क्लोज्ड होना चाहिए करेक्ट ऑर्डर में और क्लोज ब्रैकेट है तो क्लोज ब्रैकेट का जो करस्पॉन्डिंग ब्रैकेट है वो ओपन
Okay,
ब्रैकेट के
okay,
सेम
okay,
होना चाहिए।
okay, okay. So प्रीति, क्या मेरी पूरी स्टोरी इसी के अराउंड रिवॉल्व कर रही है? सिर्फ इसी के अराउंड रिवॉल्व कर रही है? Just asking. Is it like that?
व्हाट डू
Like,
यू मीन
do I
बाय
have? I'm just asking that. Do I have some more situations, or I just have to compare this, that the number of opening and the number of closing bracket should be same. Is it like that?
इस कंडीशन के बेसिस पे अगर इन तीनों कंडीशन सही हो गया तो ट्रू एल्स फॉल्स और लाइक ये जो आपने अभी बताया अप्रोच पैलिंड्रोम
Mm-hmm.
मे बी ये पैलिंड्रोम के थ्रू हम लोग कर सकते हैं।
Okay, fine, fine, fine. Thank you, thank you. Okay, fine. So let's start from the very basics. So let me just pick this case. So what's validating? But before starting with anything, I'm gonna cover that thing why we are using this data to find. So given a string S containing just the characters, and the characters would be the brackets, braces, and the parentheses. Fine. So the set of parentheses, the set of braces, and the set of brackets. Determine if the input string is valid. An input string is valid if open brackets must be closed by the same type of brackets. So this guy would be only considered as closed if I would be getting this guy. Open brackets must be closed in correct order. It it cannot be like this, that I have three opening brackets and I have one closing bracket. No, it cannot be done like that. Every closed bracket has a corresponding open bracket of the same type. So let's say if I have this guy, or if I have this guy, I would be having this guy in the beginning, and the quantity would be same, the count will be same. Let's start with the first input. The first input I'm having is two set of parentheses. So that's a string written in double quotes. So when I'll be starting my iteration, I would be getting first opening bracket, and just after that, I would be getting a closing bracket. So I have a pair of opening and closing parentheses. So I would be considering it a balanced string. Fine. Then I have one more case where I'm having this opening, closing parenthesis, opening bracket, closing bracket. opening braces and closing braces. So I'll start my iteration, and I'm having an opening parenthesis, and just after that, I'm having a closing parenthesis. Then I have opening bracket, closing bracket. Then I have opening braces and closing braces. So if I'm going to count them, one, two, three opening, one, two, three closing. So three openings and three closings will not decide that it is a balanced one, but in this situation, the opening bracket is getting closed just after that. So this string is also balanced. Next, let's make it more complex. I have opening, 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 closing, closing, closing. But now, anyone just unmute yourself and tell me that is it balanced? Anyone?
No, sir, it's not balanced as it is not following an order.
But sir, this one is the opening one, the closing one after that. Opening, closing, opening, closing,
So the
following an order.
third one, yeah, but I think like the third one
Hmm.
should be closed first.
Should be closed first. Okay, fine. अब
Yeah.
देखो यहाँ पे. Very good, Naman bhai. So if I have this opening, if I have this opening, if I have this opening, so this guy should be closed here only. Then this guy would be closed. Then this guy would be closed. Now it's balanced. That means the opening should not be closed immediately, but the nested brackets or brackets inside brackets should be closed immediately. So this guy is getting closed with this immediately. This guy is getting closed after the completion of this pair, and this guy is getting closed after the completion of these pairs. So, by taking all these three cases, if you notice one thing, my story is not revolving around only counting the number of opening and counting the number of closing brackets. It's revolving around two things, and that is quantity of opening and closing brackets. Second, the order of closing and opening. That's it. So, how to approach towards it? So, by covering all these cases, I got to know one thing, sir. I just have to get the information, the just recent opening bracket, the recent opening bracket, or the recent bracket which is adjacent to my current bracket. So, I'll always have to go with the situation where I'll be comparing or I'll be checking that the previous bracket is the opening bracket of current or not. So we have covered three of the keywords in this question. So the first keyword which was covered is validating a link, validating a stack, checking that string is a balance or not, and figuring out that is it the closing bracket of something which was the recent opening bracket. So we're gonna use stacks in this question. Fine. Now what's the approach? I have this, I have this, have this. So every time when I'll be getting an opening bracket, whether it is a parenthesis, whether it is a braces, whether it is a bracket, I'm gonna add in my stack. This opening would be added in my stack. And the moment when I'll be getting a closing bracket, I'm gonna check on the top of my stack, do I have the opening pair of this bracket or not? The moment when I'll be getting a closing bracket, I'm gonna check, do I have the opening bracket of this set at the top of my stack? So see, I got this closing bracket, and at the top of my stack, I have the opening pair of this bracket. So things are going fine, and this guy will be removed, and my stack would be empty. Then I have this. So this is the opening one. So it will be inserted in my stack. And the next iteration, I will be getting a closing bracket. So the moment when I'll be getting a closing bracket, I'll gonna check that at the top of my stack, do I have the opening pair of this bracket? And yes, we have. So it will be popped up. Then we have another opening bracket. So I'm gonna add it in my stack. In the next iteration, I have this closing bracket. Now I'm gonna check, do I have any element at the top of my stack, and that element is the opening pair of this bracket? Yes, it is. That means if at the end of your whole iteration, if the stack becomes empty, and if that stack is empty, that means your string is balanced. And at every iteration, if you got to know this thing, that the closing bracket comes up with an opening bracket which is at the top of your stack, the true will continue. But when I'll be getting a false, the moment when I'm at that bracket, which is the closing one, but I'm not having the opening pair of that bracket at the top of my stack. So keep inserting the opening brackets, and the moment when you'll get a closing bracket, just check, do I have the opening pair of that bracket at the top of my stack? If it is, yes. If it's not, return false. That's it. So let me take any other test case. So I have this. I have this. And I have this. First, I have an opening bracket. So this will be added in my stack. Then I have again an opening bracket. This will be added in my stack. Then I have again opening bracket. This will be added in my stacks. The next moment, when I'll be getting a closing bracket, do I have any element which is the pair of this closing bracket at the top of my stack? See, I'm having the opening bracket of this at the top of my stack. Condition is true, this guy will be removed. And the removal process is being called as popping of element. Pop operation on stack. So now my stack is a closing square bracket and sorry, an opening square bracket and an opening parenthesis. Next, I have this square bracket. So I'm gonna check, do I have an opening pair of this bracket at the top of my stack? And see, yes, I have. So this guy would also be removed. That means will also be popped out. Then I have this parenthesis. In the next iteration, I have a closing bracket, and I'm gonna check, do I have the opening pair of this at the top of my stack? Yes, it is. The sky would be removed, and at the end, my whole stack would be empty. And if my whole stack is empty, return true. Otherwise, return false. And while popping out the elements, you'll have to check this thing, that the bracket which you're comparing right now, after the removal or during the removal, your stack should not be empty. So there would be a chance now. I have this. That's it. I don't have this closing bracket. So I have just traversed to my whole list. I have just traveled to my whole stack, but it's still not empty. If a stack is still not empty, return false. If it's empty, return true. That's it. So in every operation, you'll also check this thing that while popping the elements and while comparing it, that do I have any opening pair at the top of my stack? So one more condition would be added, that is your stack should not be empty. It should be empty after the whole iteration, after the whole traversal of your string. So it shouldn't be empty until you'll be reaching at the last element of your string, the last character of your string. So keep putting the opening brackets in your stack, keep popping them out the moment when you get the closing bracket of that. And if the stack is not empty at the last, return false. Otherwise, return true. Guys, give me a thumbs up if I'm clear with this question. Like what we have to do exactly and why we are using a stack in this case. Anyone who's still having any confusion, please ask.
Sir,
So I have
for
a
the
question,
What? Pranjul.
yes, sir.
Yeah, you're saying
Uh,
something, buddy.
yes, sir. Sir, if string is already empty, so I
Mhm.
will return true or false.
If string is already empty, you tell me.
Yes.
You tell me what would be this? What would be the scenario?
Uh, uh, sir, could you write? So just wait a moment.
अच्छा अच्छा टेल मी वन थिंग अच्छा टेल मी वन थिंग प्रांजल एक क्वेश्चन का आंसर दो फिर से देखो इधर can I just say this thing, let's say this string is null and this string is also null, are they both equal?
Yes, sir. Equal.
If I have an empty string and I don't have a opening bracket and I don't have a closing bracket, ध्यान से समझना. So if I haven't added anything, make sense, if I haven't added anything, how would I be able to retrieve it? And if I haven't performed any operation, so I can generally say that thing, na man, that it is already balanced. Pranjal, makes sense. If
Yes,
something
sir.
is empty, if something is empty, empty simply says one thing, man. It contains nothing. So if something contains nothing, that simply means it is balanced. Similarly, if I have to compare my height with someone, and either I would be taller or I would be shorter. But sir, what if I don't have anyone to compare? I don't have any person, I don't have any parameter to compare my height. So man, I would be the tallest one. Makes sense, Pranjul.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes, sir.
so we don't have anything to compare. We don't have anything to check for the balance. So it is balanced. So guys, take 5 minutes and try to write the code for this. Let me just write the syntax of stack. So if you're using Java, so a stack is a class, fine, and you'll have to specify the data, the type of data which you have to store in your stack. So here, a string has been given to you. So the alphabets or the symbols or the single quantity will be called as a character in that. Then the name of that stack, a new keyword, and the name of that class once again with generics. That's it. Class, constructor, object. So you'll be declaring a stack like this, and I think for C++, it's not damn difficult. I think you just have to specify the stack as it is. Is it like that? Is there anyone of C++? So Ritik, do you know how to declare a stack? You would be knowing that, right? Ritvik, is it fine? Do you know that?
no, sir. Could you please write it?
Yeah, like I think it's just a normal declaration, yeah. You know about STL.
Yes, sir.
What's that? What's STL? Okay, fine. So you don't have to do anything. Uh, Stack, character, and the name of that stack. That's it. Class, type, object. That's it. So the let's say if I'm declaring a variable, so if that variable is of integer type, it will be a is equals to 4. So the stack is of character type, and the name of that stack is stk. Ritvik, am I clear? Am I clear? So that's how you will declare a stack. Ritvik, am I clear?
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Now take 5 minutes and try to write the code for it. Anyone who's done with the code? Who was that? Subdeep bhai. Just share your screen. Yeah. Yes, it is. Mm-hmm. Okay. Acha, Shubdeep, just a question. I think the approach is fine, right? So instead of writing it stack of -1, don't we have any function in C++ which will return me the element which is at the top? I think peak function and the top function is there, right? Okay, okay, it's Python. So we don't have any function on that. Can you please check it for me? Because I'm also asking for my knowledge as well. Do we have any function in Python to get the element which is at the top of my stack? It's there in Python, it's there, the second one. Mm, yeah, that's what I said. Yeah, yeah, append I know, pop I know, and uh that's fine. So can I just replace that -1 with this peak function? stk.peak. What's there? Okay, stack doesn't have any peak function. Okay. Okay, so in Python it's a list, is it? Okay. Okay, okay. So we don't have any function for that. We'll have to uh call the -1 index, right? Okay, fine, Shubdeep, great. So you tell me, Shubdeep, what is the time complexity of this approach? Explanation? Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. So the length of my string will decide the time complexity for me, and it's linear, that is big of n. Because I'm making a for loop, and that for loop is starting from the zeroth index and it's going till the last index of my string. Makes sense. Right. Thank you, Sukhdeep. Anyone else who is done with the code? Akash bhai, Ritvik, Preeti, Norman. Anyone else? Saurav, can you share your screen? Saurav, if you can hear me. I can't hear you, Saurav. Okay, no issue. Yeah, now I can hear you. Yeah, sure. Yes, it is. Uh, opening, pushing in the stack. Else, if if it's closing of parenthesis, stack empty or stack dot pop should not be equals. Okay, fine. If okay, if okay. Then a suggestion. Sort of everything is being so fine, right? a suggestion for you. Instead of writing in nested if condition, try to cover everything in a single if. Make sense? तो ये जो आप if के अंदर if लिखे हैं ना, इसको अवॉइड करके if के अंदर ही सब लिख दो। फाइन? लिख लोगे? Okay, okay, fine. Try that. Anyone, stop sharing, Saurabh. Anyone else who's done with the code? Priti, Norman, anyone? Pranjal, किसी और को कोई problem while writing the code? No, sir. Acha, how many of you want me to write the code? Please raise your hand if you want me to write the code. Okay, fine. The very first thing which I'll be doing, I'll be making a stack, and the type of value which I'll be storing in that will be of character type. Stack is equals to new stack, a for loop. Okay, okay. Yeah, I've stopped sharing because Saurabh was sharing, right? Is it fine, sir? So I'll be declaring a stack first, and the value I'll be storing in my stack will be of character type. So end I is equals to 0 because I'm starting my everything from the 0th index of my string, which should be less than the length of that string, I plus plus. And every time I'll be taking a character, and to make it more simple, I'll store every character of my string before the iteration in my char variable, that is ch. I now the thing will start. Let's say I got the opening brackets. So if I got the opening brackets, I'll add them in my stack. If character is equals to the opening parenthesis, or the character is equals to the opening square bracket, or the character is equals to the opening curly braces. In that case, add that bracket in my stack. Else if, let's say I got a character which is an opening bracket of parenthesis. So writing both of the condition in a single case, my stack should not be empty, or the element which I'm popping out from my stack, or the element which is at the top of my stack, if it's not equals to the respective opening bracket of that. Fine. So if I found a closing bracket, and with that, if I found the stack is empty, or the element which at the top of my stack is not the opening pair of that bracket, in this case, I'll simply return false. And I'm gonna do this for both of the remaining cases. Copy this, paste, paste. So in this case, the character, let's say the bracket which I got now is the closing square bracket, and at the top of my stack, I'm not having the opening pair of this. I'll return false. Again, if it is closing braces, and at the top of my stack, I'm not having the opening pair of that. I'll return false. Now, at the end of my whole iteration, if I got to know this thing, that my stack is empty, fine. if your stack is not empty, that means I'll return false. And if my stack is empty, I'll return true. That's it. So let's run this. So what happened? Okay, it's stack. I have written STK. Stack. So my system is getting hang there. So let me just rename it with STK. Yeah. And let me just rename it with STK. So hectic to change the names every time. Okay, dot is empty is a function, so parenthesis will be used. Okay, fine. Let's submit it. Doing these settings. I'm sharing the code in the chat box. This is the code. I think I won't be getting the complete code. I'm sending that. Uh, okay, okay, fine. I think from here. Okay, fine. So guys, I've shared the code in the chat box. Just give me a thumbs up if I'm clear with this question and the concept which we have discussed today regarding the stacks. And a suggestion for you, please, please be careful the moment when you'll be getting these keywords in your question. Where's that? Okay, I think it's a linked list. Where I've written that. Where's my stack? What happened? Where's my stacks? Okay, fine. It's okay. I would be having in that recording. Okay. I don't know why it's auto deleted. So the keywords which I've shared. So please be careful with those keywords. So if you'll be getting those keywords in your questions, so you're gonna use stacks in that case. So we'll be solving more questions on stacks. So I think let's make a goal that we would solve 3 questions together. Fine. Code will be written by you, and I'll be explaining with the logic and the implementation part. So we'll be able to solve more and more questions in the classes. Fine. But our aim is to solve at least 10 questions on each topic, right? So that's all for today, guys. And thank you for joining and have a beautiful day. Yeah, balancing recent adjusted next data element. Yeah. Copy this thing and keep this thing in your mind for the further questions. Fine. So that's all for today. Thank you for joining and have a good day.